a person who adores and loves them is a threat. A person who abuses them is safe. This sounds completely wonky, but this is why this show is so important, because until you understand the paradox of the child imprint of the nervous system, how it shows up in your adulthood, you can't make sense of these things. When we say, I want so much more abundance and money, but when I get all this money, it's a threat. I want all this love in my life, but when you get the perfect partner who's going to love and accept you exactly as you are, never abuse you, you mess it up. And you are trying to get away from it. And you keep on matching up with people who are the worst partner for you. But it resembles your childhood.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to inject that in because it is very, very reflective of your nervous system. It's because it's where you feel safe, even though it's so dysfunctional, right?
Got a good thing coming, and it's all I need. Everything I wanted is in front of me. Stuck it up in the dark, sun is shining over me. I got a good thing coming, just wait and see. It's a good.
Good morning. Welcome to the Coaching Corner. Today we are going to be talking about feeling safe is more important than goals. I love this topic, Nance, because every personal development person and people, always when they're trying to achieve something are thinking about their goals, and when they haven't achieved, they think about their goals, and they rework their goals. So what we want to share today is when you don't get what you want often, like you can say you don't achieve what you want, you don't manifest what you want, it's actually from your nervous system not feeling safe, but it's not at a conscious level, it's at a subconscious level. It means it's below your level of awareness. So this is kind of a follow-on, is that right, Nance, of the nervous system of last week?
Yeah, last week we talked about the nervous system just slightly, and we said that we were going to go in depth, and today we're going to talk about
nervous system regulation.
Yes, feeling safe is more important than goals. And I can honestly say that you can have as many goals as you want. And generally people, at the beginning of the year set their goals and they've got these things they want to do. And then they find themselves stopping short and are afraid. Literally, it's just fear.
Yeah.
And you know that you can do it. You say to yourself, what's wrong with me? I know this. Why can't I do it? Well, what an amazing couple of months we've both been on. We've just discovered the nervous system ourselves. So we are so excited to bring this knowledge, and it's definitely everywhere, but this knowledge to the Coaching Corner because it really has made it so different. We live so differently now.
What Nancy just left out one word, we came to learn the nervous system. What we mean is nervous system regulation.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very
all about it.
Very important word we left out there. So I'm just going to refer to some notes that I've made here. So your nervous system is basically your own body's alarm system, and it's going to keep signaling if something is a threat to you or something is safe to do. And it's always scanning. It's always on. And this thing was worked out from the very moment of your conception. It started recording what's a threat, what's safe in the time in the womb, and definitely as a small child. So most of your perception of what's safe and not safe is actually, as I said, subconscious, and it was developed probably under the age of 7, I'd even say under the age of 5. And it keeps wondering everything that you do, everything. Am I safe? Am I in danger? It's permanently asking that question. So your nervous system can be in two different modes. One is what we call regulated, when you're feeling calm, you're feeling confident, you are very present, you can notice many things. As I'm talking to you, I can notice subtleties. I'm very in tune with intuition.
You're connected.
I can notice body language. It's very good to be with a coach, with a client when you're coaching, very present and aware. That's when you've got a calm, regulated nervous system. The other one is when you're dysregulated, you feel anxious, shut down, overwhelmed, and reactive. So every time we're triggered, we are in a dysregulated mode. Now, when it comes to goals, this is very interesting because many people don't realize that in every single area of their life, you have a kind of thermostat, like a set point to what you think is safe. How much money, how much love, how much fun, how much success, how much visibility and exposure. So let's say you in an industry like ours, let's say in personal development, or you just started and you want to start your Instagram page and a little bit of videos on social media, and you just don't know why you can't take any action. If it's about doing a video, maybe you've got some program in it that says if I'm too visible, I am vulnerable. So you just don't know why you can't do it. You were just saying the gap between knowing and doing. That's an example. Or suddenly you make money and then you ruin it. Or you attract, the law of attraction, expenses that are unexpected. Or you invested badly and you lose the money because too much money threatens. We think, oh, we want money. That's consciously. But subconsciously, it says this is change and it could be a threat. So we collapse or we ruin it. It even happens in relationships with love. If a person is not used to a lot of love or grew up as a child with not much availability from parents or emotional availability, and suddenly they're in a wonderful relationship and there's a lot of love there, they could disappear a lot and ruin things or have unnecessary arguments. You don't even know why this is happening. It's because it's out of your set point. So this nervous system is like your thermostat.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting you're talking about the Instagram, starting a business and you wanting to be seen. And that can come from trauma as a child, not wanting to be seen. And I can relate to that because when I first started, I never wanted to do an Instagram post. And I was not anywhere near wanting to get in front of a camera. I was incredibly shy.
Sorry, and look at her now. She's loving the camera.
I was incredibly shy and really petrified. That's the word I could say, petrified. I know it's a big word, but that's how I felt. And something happened. I went along, I did the 2-day Love Yourself, Heal Your Life program. If you are part of our community, you would know that we talk about this program nonstop. Both Janine and I are certified teachers and coaches of this program. And when I did that course, I uncovered that I have a problem with shining or a problem with being out there because of some emotional trauma that I had a long time ago. And,
hiding was safe.
Yeah, hiding was, and it's reflective of everything in your life. So you think what's that got to do with you being on camera? Well, it's got everything to do with it. So until I did that course, I didn't know, and I discovered that was my problem. I worked on it. And can I tell you, 2 weeks after completing that course, I did my first Instagram post, and it went for 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Now, it wasn't the best post. I can look back and say, wow, even my face looked different, how I was on the camera, how you could tell I wasn't confident.
Yeah, it was like the first time you stepped into fear.
Yes.
So she wasn't confident yet, like fully, but she was out of complete hiding in the middle somewhere there.
Correct.
So you were like talking through fear that you've just overcome.
Right. Now, I didn't know about the nervous system back then, but I knew about
feeling in your body.
Yes, and the self-love. It really it links. It's quite a big link because Louise Hay's connection to this work is just your body keeps score. So if you're feeling like you don't want to be seen, if you're feeling like I want to run and hide, what's happening to my body? Well, it means my heart starts racing. I totally want to run. I don't want to be in front of the camera. No, don't get me in front of the camera kind of thing. Because I have this memory. So when we are, when you're taught to think, that our thoughts and our emotions live in our body, not just in our mind, you can see what the patterning. So when I attended the course, I started to work on myself. I started to love myself. I started to have compassion for myself. I started to realize that everything that I'm feeling from my nervous system has come from a past trauma. And unless I start working, that connection with Louise Hay, instead of start working with my body and realizing what's happening. Remember last week we spoke about awareness is the first thing. What's happening to my body when I'm having these thoughts? You get the clues, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a detective, you're picking up the clues. So it's really important that we do go in and see what's happening with our body. And when you spoke about, that's why I brought that topic up. When you did speak about how we think, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to make lots of money, and then I know that I have to do either a Facebook or Instagram post or, get my social media going. And then you think, I have to speak in front of people. I remember the first time I spoke in front of people, same thing. And then you think, I know what I'm doing. Why am I feeling this way?
Now, I can tell you, even a coaching client of mine, he was in the coaching session and I said, so what do you want to work on today? And he said, oh, I'm just not motivated and I feel like I'm stuck. And I said, well, tell me more. And as I'm listening, the person's got all these things to do and just doesn't take the action. And is there anything else going on? There's nothing in particular, like they're not sick or have any diagnosis of any kind, but they're just not functioning. They're actually not taking action. They're not functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So after we spoke, it was nothing to do basically with their to-do list. Asking enough questions, the person was in a highly stressed fight or flight mode from other things. And they could be things that have just kind of stayed, as Nancy said, in the body from time before, but it's like a pattern that you learned, fight or flight, fight or flight. The smallest stimulus that reminds you of this old time when you were in serious fight or flight can just happen, and the body goes into this fight or flight. And let's be honest, you all know that when you in fight or flight, you always afterwards, when you come out of it, you go, oh, I should have said that. Oh, I wonder why I didn't do that. Oh, I should have said this.
Or you start ruminating.
Yes,
in your mind,
because
the whole scenario.
Because when you fight or flight, blood only goes to the brain stem at the back. It doesn't actually flow into the midbrain or the prefrontal cortex where you have critical thinking. That's why when people are in a big argument, they always say stupid things and afterwards goes, oh, I should have said that and I should have said that. Your brain actually doesn't work. So here's this client having this to-do list and he's not taking action because he's gone himself into fight or flight, but it's such a pattern over his life of stress that the smallest stimulus, it could be he lost a client. Immediately there's panic sets in the body. What if I go bankrupt? What if I can't pay my bills? What if I lose my house? What if I can't, look after my family? That just happens in the far background. He's not even aware, but the smallest thing will set it all off. And as this happens, the person feels stuck. It's got nothing to do with his business goals or to do with his motivation that he came saying, I need more motivation. It's got nothing to do that at all. It's to do with the fact that this person is not feeling safe. So it's a feeling of a dysregulated nervous system, and we're able to fix it. I just want to give you some examples of common signs that we often miss. One is what you just said, ruminating. So the monkey mind. If you ever have the monkey mind,
and it usually happens at night, right?
If you wake up in the middle of the night, your mind starts going. So this is overthinking. Overthinking is a stress response, and it's very unhealthy. So if you are an overthinker, you need to listen to some suggestions we have towards the end of the show. Or the monkey mind. What are other signs, Nance?
Exhausted but can't sleep. How many times have you said, I'm tired, you yawn most of the afternoon or most of the day, then it comes to bedtime and you're sitting in bed, eyes wide open, you try to close your eyes open again, and it's just a constant, and then you say to yourself, but I'm so exhausted, why can't I sleep? So that's also a mixture of monkey mind, because that's what's happening in your mind. You're actually, think of a monkey as swinging from one branch to another. It just doesn't stop, right?
Yes, thoughts.
And that's your mind. Another thing is snapping at loved ones over the smallest thing. That for me was my biggest clue, because remember, if you watched the previous show, I talked about how I kept asking myself, why are you so angry all the time? You, even over the smallest things. Okay? So a dysregulated nervous system, you do snap, and you snap at the most stupid things, right? Feeling numb, checked out, going through, the motions, you just can't get it, you're not here, you're not present, again, not being connected. Chronic tension. Anyone have any jaw pain? That real tightness in your jaw, your shoulders, stomach. Anxiety, just bursting into tears because the smallest thing that can be fixed
sets you off.
And then it becomes like, this is this small, but now it's like a mountain, and you're thinking, you're shallow breathing, I can't cope, and it just elevates and escalates, and it keeps going. And of course, one of the biggest things is saying yes when you want to say no. That's massive people pleasing. I've been there. I am a recovering people pleaser.
So a person would say yes when they want to say no, and you say, well, how's that related to the nervous system? Because in a child, all a child wants is to be loved, right? That's all they want, is just to be loved. And if they're not getting love, they work out very quickly what actually gets them love. And when they do the right thing and they're good, then their parents praise them and they feel love.
Yeah.
So it becomes a pattern that you learned as a child, and the brain connects, oh, when I'm good, I'm loved. So you like me, you love me. So as we grow up, somewhere in our wiring, we people please and say, yes, I'll do this for you. Of course, I'll do that. Yes, I'll come to this thing. Meantime, you don't even want to go to that thing. You say yes because you want to feel loved. Because when the child doesn't feel loved, cortisol shoots up. They feel abandoned. They feel rejected. So their nervous system goes into the stress response, and it gets soothed when they get loved. The cortisol drops, oxytocin, serotonin, that beautiful soothed feeling. That's the different state. State is a very important word. The state of dysregulation is that horrible feeling in your body. Maybe you've got a feeling in your gut. We spoke about this in our previous show. Sweating, nerves, shaking, dry mouth. You were telling me this morning, Nance, about your stress response all those years ago when you had some stress. So it does show up in the body. But the minute that someone gives you a hug who you feel safe with, or they just hold your hand even, or just rub your back, and you feel safe with this person, you know how soothing that is. You just calm down. That feeling just melts in your body. And that is when the cortisol level drops. So when we talk about nervous system regulation, many people are listening to this thinking, oh, this is really not for me, this show. I don't know why they're going on about this. If I had to, someone ask me, who is this for? The answer is
everybody.
Everyone. Okay, every single person. Now, it does help if you've got a regime of meditation every single day in your life, and you're practicing mindfulness every single day of your life. That obviously will help you enormously, or breath work. However, the average person going around who meditates sometimes here and there, they are so much more dysregulated than they actually come to understand. They can't see themselves. Now, I just want to share, like we spoke about growing up and you don't feel safe. Any kind of scenario for a child where it was unpredictable creates this as a pattern from very small.
Can I inject
Yes,
in
please.
there? That's really interesting, because when you're talking about previously, you were saying that if you have trauma, if you people please, sorry, and you want to say no, but you say yes because you want to feel loved. Now, this also is very interesting. Like, I'm going to expand a little bit on, if a child came from a very traumatic family background, let's talk about maybe some abuse happening, all types of abuse. The child knows that as, they grow up and they get into a relationship with perhaps someone like their dad or their mum, okay? Perhaps a narcissist, someone like that, or an abuser. Now, that becomes their safety, okay? Because you remember, the child knows only this as their safe zone.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want to say.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's so familiar to the child that it's their comfort zone.
Correct.
So it's the feeling, even though they might be in fight or flight and terrified, they might be very afraid of their partner, but in some way, shape, or form, it's so familiar.
Predictability.
Yeah, it's predictability. It's so familiar, it's the comfort zone. So a person who adores and loves them is a threat. A person who abuses them
is safe.
This sounds completely wonky, but this is why the show is so important, because until you understand the paradox of the child imprint of the nervous system, how it shows up in your adulthood, you can't make sense of these things. When we say, I want so much more abundance and money, but when I get all this money, it's a threat. I want all this love in my life, but when you get the perfect partner who's going to love and accept you exactly as you are, never abuse you, you mess it up. And you are trying to get away from it. And you keep on matching up with people who are the worst partner for you. But it resembles your childhood.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to inject that in because it is very, very reflective of your nervous system. It's because it's where you feel safe, even though it's so dysfunctional, right?
Absolutely.
So anybody else, you got high achievers who are running on adrenaline. Like, gosh, those guys that are really...
Can I just tell you something?
Yeah, go ahead.
My entire working career, I was on adrenaline. I was always feeling a strong pressure on deadlines, pressure on performance, pressure on having to think 2 steps ahead all the time, that I'm never having to catch up, because that for me was like, I don't know where I got that from, but it was a threat. If I felt threatened in the workplace, like I'm not doing well enough, I'm not achieving as much as I could or should. And that lasted my whole working career. And then I went through the worst time of my life. When I immigrated to Australia, my first 18 months in my new job, I was so stressed. That was the worst and darkest time. That affected my nervous system so severely that 5 years later, when I left corporate to work for myself, and I had days free, and I was actually mostly selling property in those days, and really if I sold one a month, I'd be absolutely fine financially. I'd be selling more than 2, so I'd be okay. I didn't have to have all that pressure, but I could not sit still. I could not sit still. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd feel like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? I can't just sit here. I can't just sit here. Stressing myself out. Then I didn't know what to do, because I didn't really have like a whole to-do list. Just, I was trying to build a business. But the pressure on myself, it took me, Nancy, I'm not exaggerating, a minimum of 2 years to be able to sit still without wiggling my leg, without thinking, I should be doing something, like, what haven't I done? It's too good to be true. I can't have money and have nothing to do. How's it possible? So I'm just letting you know, this terrible feeling of adrenaline comes from patterning.
It also happens with mums, by the way, when you take time off and go on a holiday. So you're on the go all the time. Your mind's on the go all the time. Mums are thinking far ahead, way ahead, who's involved, who's not involved, who's going to get hurt, who's not going to get hurt, what am I making for dinner on Friday, who's at home on Thursday, all these sorts of things. When you take time out to go away for yourself, maybe it's a weekend, I know personally it takes me 24 hours to wind down, right? How many times I've flown with you, Jay?
So it took 24 hours now, after working with me for 8 years. But when I first met Nancy, it took her seriously a week. And she struggled with all kinds of things. Like, my ear's very attuned. And I used to hear guilt in between,
absolutely.
read between the lines. And what is she guilty about? She's guilty because she's not cooking, she's not cleaning, she's not running after that's just really the truth.
Yeah. So your nervous system, that's the same sort of thing. You are on adrenaline. You don't know how to sit. You don't know how to sit still. So I've got it here on my list: caregivers, helpers, people pleasers, those sort of people that are constantly giving are the ones that really also could benefit from having their nervous system
regulated.
Yeah.
And you have to actually train. You have to train the nervous system to become regulated.
Yeah.
So I just want to just share this very interesting thing. It says here, the nervous system doesn't care how smart or self-aware you are. It responds to the perceived threat, not logic, perceived threat. So there's nothing really threatening you. As I said, one stimulus out of 4 million could set off this whole thing. All right. So how does healing happen? Let's talk about healing.
Okay, so the first thing I would recommend is to seek a coach. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, you're a coach. Is it just another form of advertising? Can I tell you that the coach has a coach? I have someone to talk to. I have a therapist. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just that you get to have someone who keeps you accountable, who can regulate you, you feel safe with. The very important word here is what?
Is safe. If I can just say, the coach's presence, if you just imagine, if you never had a coach, just imagine it. You can imagine it. But if you have ever had a coach, you know. You can come to the coaching session. I've had people scream, cry, so stressed out. I had a client who hadn't slept for 24 hours. He looked terrible, okay, puffed up, coffee throughout the night, all stress. Financially stressed to the eyeballs, and you get all these things. But when you as a coach show up,
and you're calm,
you show up with a certain kind of stability, a kind of grounded presence. Just the presence of the coach immediately drops the cortisol levels in the client. Just having this hour and a bit with them, they are like, there's someone here for me.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a coach. I know we are coaches, but
Yeah.
everyone needs a coach. I have more than one. So a coach is very, very important, and they can instantly read between the lines, hear what you're not saying, and their presence automatically regulates you. And only once you regulate it can you start to see the bigger picture. Because often when you're in the thick of it and you're in a very stressed scenario, you can't even see what the problem is. You need a third, like an outsider, an observer, to actually tell you things or ask you questions so that you can start to see what you didn't see.
Another thing I would say is Louise Hay's work. We cannot talk about it enough, I'd say. We do the 2-day Love Yourself, Heal Your Life program, which is incredibly important in regulating your nervous system. And why? Well, one of the first things is it creates a safe container, a safe space. Safety is so important
It's
for
the
regulation.
word.
Yeah, it is. And if you don't feel safe, we've had people come in here on day one. A young girl came in last year and completely you could tell she was closed off. She was fidgety. She couldn't focus. She couldn't look at you when she was talking to you. She was like head down. By day 2, after lunch, she had changed completely. Her hair was pinned back. Her face was different. She had first time ever she meditated. The first time ever she could close her eyes and do the meditation without twitching, without shaking, without opening her eyes in it. It was incredible to watch. We were both so overcome with so much joy and love for this woman because for the first time she said she felt safe.
That's right. She even walked across the room on day 2. She wore different colors, wasn't wearing black, looked pretty, face was open, hair was open, and she turned to the whole room and she just felt free. And she was standing there. Remember, she thanked everybody. She said, I just love being with all of you. I can just be myself here and I feel safe. So you might not understand. I didn't initially understand this. I feel safe because I never really feel unsafe. But it's not safety as in there's someone outside, having a firearm in your face. It's not that. It's an imprint in your nervous system that was developed when you were a very small child and just remembers patterns that feel like a threat. So even the things you claim you want, when they show up, you will ruin them. This is why it says feeling safe is more important than your goals. You could say, I would like to double my income. I can tell you as I sit here now, if someone did just double their income, they would divest themselves of that money so fast and get back to where they were if you do not do nervous system work.
And lottery ticket
because it feels like a threat to the nervous system. All it has to say is, this is different. I've never been here before. This is the unknown. And the unknown in the past could be danger.
And that comes down to, I believe, loving yourself. This is why this program is so important, because if you really, really, really deep down, and everyone says to me, but I do love myself. Do you? Do you really love yourself? There are moments in time when I can recall, even recently, that my self-love meter went down. Loving yourself.
Thinking that you were.
That's right. So loving yourself is a constant, everyday thing. It's constant. It's consistent. It's all the time. And I mean, and some of the things that we do in the class, I can't divulge all of them, but one thing I can say is we do mirror work. How important it is to look at yourself every day in the mirror. First thing in the morning, no makeup on for women, and men, disheveled face, hair, face looking raggedy, maybe puffy eyes, whatever. Looking yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. I really, really love you. And today's going to be a great day. And no matter what happens today, no matter how bad it gets or if it's fantastic, I'm always going to be here for you. It's you showing up for your inner child. It's you saying to your inner child, I'm going to look after you. I'm going to parent you. I'm the one in charge now. And that is a feeling of safety for the inner child. And the inner child needs that to regulate the nervous system.
People go around in this world and they maybe cause drama because attention is better than no attention. Because you get positive attention, you get negative attention, and then psychology with studies prove that zero attention being ignored is worse. So people will start drama sometimes. They don't know why. In families, this person never stops causing drama, just looking for stuff to create. it's because it's still going back to the inner child, that nervous system. You don't want to feel like there's no one there for you. So if you got to get someone talking to you just because you cause drama, at least someone's talking to you. At least someone's there, so you don't feel alone. Even things like ruining something, it goes back to your safe zone, because at least I can control this environment, or I'm used to this environment. I've been here before, so it's familiar. So I'm just letting you know that because it shows up in very strange ways. So Nancy spoke about mirror work, and I just want to add one of the best affirmations is I love and approve of myself exactly as I am.
That's a great affirmation.
Yeah. Another thing that's really helpful, which is the most important thing, I say everyone in the world must do it, is to meditate every single day. Don't miss one day, even if it's for only 5 minutes. Do any meditation you want. But the more you do daily meditation, day after day, you are training your body and your mind and your nervous system to know what calm and relaxed feels like again and again and again. And over time, you'll become a calmer and more relaxed person. If you want a free resource on my website, I've got the Silver Method Long Relaxed, 30 minutes. It's just about a deep relaxation to train the nervous system. That's what got me out of that worst place when I first immigrated, the worst time of my life. I was sick for 18 months. I got better in just 2 to 3 weeks. Why? Because I used the long relax every single day, and my nervous system for the first time started to relax. The cortisol levels dropped. The adrenaline started to drop. So go to my website, JanineShakaInternational.com. It's on the front page under the video. Fill it in. You can get it there. So I'd say meditation, breath work, all kinds of breath work. You just got to look on YouTube and look for some breath work. It does help. Even if you do square breathing, breathe in, 1, 2, 3, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4. You just go round and round. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Inhale, hold, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds. What else have we got?
Well, going back to the 2-day workshop, we also release stored emotions. That's incredibly important because we get rid of grief, anger, fear, and it's held onto the body, and we want to get it moving. We want to get it out of your system. So we really work with that, and that also helps you to regulate your nervous system, feeling safe again. And of course, self-compassion is so important. We don't have self-compassion. We don't. We do things to ourselves. We self-sabotage. We
criticize ourselves.
Yeah, and constantly comparing ourselves. I can't tell you the teenagers that came in when we did the teen empowerment, self-empowerment workshop. Constantly, I feel really bad for them because they're always comparing themselves to other kids, and then of course they've got the lovely device to compare, the social media. So having self-compassion helps regulate your nervous system. Now, what I want to say quickly, because we've got to wrap up soon, what can we start doing now? What can we start doing now to regulate?
So we've mentioned meditation.
Yep.
We've mentioned mirror work.
Yep.
We've mentioned breathing and breath work.
Yep.
And then grounding is another one.
Okay.
So grounding yourself doesn't just mean you go and stand with bare feet on the grass. That's great. But grounding yourself means I'm getting present and inside my body and aware and mindful of where I am right now. So ask yourself, what do I see? Use your 5 senses.
Yes.
Okay, I see the camera. I see Nancy in front of me.
Yep.
What do I hear?
What do I feel?
I can hear the hum of the air conditioner, a bit of the rain sound outside. What do I feel? I can feel the temperature on my skin is cooler on my bare arms, but warmer underneath where I'm sitting. So that's just like a couple of senses. You've tuned in, you immediately become present and grounded.
Very important for anyone who suffers from anxiety. Very, very important to do that straight away. Another form of grounding is to go outside and put your bare feet in grass on soil, really.
And be mindful and present.
Yeah. And if you can catch the sunrise or the sunset, go outside and close your eyes and really just put your face towards the sun. That's also very important. That helps because it makes you feel calm. Okay, so the whole thing is to make you feel calm, breathing. So you can do all those 3 things, really, breathing and grounding and the sun. Also, of course, having a coach. You need, if you've got someone who's regulated, and I talked about this last week, you as a parent must regulate yourself first before you regulate your child. It's really important. I'm in the process of, I'm on the 2nd week of doing this course that I'm doing and regulating myself, and now I've started my son on that. And what happens is, if you're calm, they're calm. Then when they get dysregulated, they're going out of, freaking out. When you hold them near you, and I said this last time, you're regulated, you're calm, and your breathing is normal. They instantly go from feeling dysregulated and breathing very irregularly, and you actually see it and you hear it, and they start to breathe with you. It's just amazing how they just automatically go into that flow and then they regulate. So please regulate yourself before you want to regulate your child. You may think my child's driving me insane, but it tends to be you first and then your child. It's like when you're in an aircraft and something is going wrong, God forbid, put the mask on yourself first before your child.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. I think that's about it.
All right, so just one thing I'm going to do is put under this video, we're going to wrap up now, something written by two psychologists, and it comes from a book called We Are as Gods, also referring to intentionally creating awe and wonder, how it can reverse a dysregulated nervous system and that kind of stuck stress that we're in, which for me is absolutely miraculous, that the brain actually can help you heal if you become aware of the miracle of everything in life. And how interesting that when you're dysregulated, that it studies people cannot see a miracle anywhere. They have a complete negative bias. Everything they look at is through a negative lens, and they just see wrong thing, threat, 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 threat. But if you actually said, let me go outside and look for something to give me awe and wonder, how you actually can reverse that. Fascinating. I'll put that underneath. Look into the comments. You'll find the article. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening to us on the Coaching Corner. Join Love Yourself, Heal Love 2-day workshop. And if you need a coach, Nancy and I do free like strategy sessions. If you're not sure if that's for you, we would love to have a chat with you.
Okay, we'll see you next time in the Coaching Corner. Bye-bye from me.
Bye. Bye-bye.